Hello and welcome back to another European episode. It's been a little bit of time since our last one. I think the last one ended in disappointment with all the Scottish teams failing to win their qualifying playoff rounds, but still obviously got three teams in the competition. Celtic and Rangers in action this week in the Europa League after the UEFA Champions League started last week, which should have had at least Celtic in it, but obviously it didn't. And then we've got the Conference League starting next week as we go back to the sort of normal all three competitions on at the same time. I'm joined by my usual co-host today, Alexander Cruikshanks. What are your thoughts ahead of the two European ties this week, Alex?
I think, on the face of it, they're two winnable ties. However, I think that hinges on Rangers performing to the standard that I think we know some of the players can. We've not seen their squad as a whole this season, perform to that standard. Maybe once against Victoria Pilsen, but the rest, the rest of the games they haven't been great. Although positive result against Hibs at the weekend, and hopefully they can build on that.
Yeah, exactly. We'll start on Wednesday's game. Unusual for Europa League to be played on Wednesday, but with no Champions League this week. The Europa League fixtures are on Wednesday. Celtic on Wednesday in Belgrade against FK Sverna Zvezda, or better known in the our terms as Red Star Belgrade, who are the champions of Serbia. They, like Celtic, missed out on Champions League in unexpected fashion, you could say. They lost to Paphos FC, the champions of Cyprus, as they qualified for their first Champions League campaign, like Kairat Almaty. So both clubs in a similar state. They probably should be in the Champions League, but they're both having to settle for Europa League. Both have started their league seasons well. 7 wins from 7 for Red Star. 5 wins from 6 for Celtic. Is that right? I think that's right. Or is it? Yes, I think it's something like that. Anyway, it's either they've obviously drawn that one game
I
at
think
Ibrox.
it's from 7
Um, I
because
don't think it is.
five
I think
league,
it's only 6.
2 League Cup games.
Oh yeah. I was just talking about the league games, but yeah, you're probably right. Let me see. Let me just check. Yeah, 5 league games, 7 two cup games. So yeah, 6 wins from 7 for Celtic. Um, Red Stars' only defeat came at home to Paphos in the Champions League playoff qualifier. They're off the back of a good win at the weekend. They won at their rivals, Partizan Belgrade, which we obviously know well. They played Hibs this season. Hibs done really well to knock them out over the two legs. So, yeah, it's definitely a winnable game for Celtic going over the hostile atmosphere. But with how Celtic have played recently, especially in Europe, those performances against Kairat Almaty, you can't be too confident. But Celtic seem to be improving game on game. How do you see this one going? I think it is a really, like the Rangers game as we'll get on to. I think it is a really difficult one to call.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is, because right now we're not sure of which Celtic would show up. It was a good performance against Partick Thistle, but I don't think you could read too much into that. Although probably their best performance of the season, in the league season against Kilmarnock, it was still, they were still relying on a dodgy last minute penalty to get them through that one. It just feels like Celtic right now are just doing the job. Maybe not with the best of performances. Obviously, that result, in Scotland and in Kazakhstan will have something. It'll be hanging over them for a little while. But I think it definitely is a winnable tie for Celtic if they manage to show up. Positives to take from Celtic recent performances: Sebastian Tunetke, if I'm using technical terms, looks like an absolute baller. Kelechi Iheanacho looks to be getting up to game speed fairly quickly. A nice assist for him at the weekend as well. I think, obviously, I think he'll be starting as Shin Yamada's been excluded from the European squad, and I can't see him going with Johnny Kenny. maybe Daisen Maeda through the middle. So it's difficult to call. Would you? I've not watched the two games completely, Ethan, but I'll just pose this question to you. Do you think Tuneki would be effective on the right hand side, or does a lot of his game rely on cutting inside?
Yeah, I think a lot of his game does rely on cutting inside, and then the episode we just recorded there, speaking about the League Cup fixtures, which will be out, will have went out the day before this one, as we're recording this. Well, this one will go out on the Wednesday, the day of the Celtic game. The League Cup one would have been out yesterday on the Tuesday, so you can go and give that a watch after this. Yes, I think he will. Start on the left, Sebastian Tinekte. I think he's been too good to move him about or accommodate him for other players. And I know Dyson Maida's been a brilliant servant to Celtic, but with how good Tinekte's been, I think he's got to start on the left. I imagine Dyson Maida will start regardless because it's Dyson Maida. And then it is going to be interesting to see who maybe pushes out to the right. Does he go with Kelechi and Nacho and push Dyson Maida out to the right, where it's obviously not his best natural position either, but he is maybe less of a sort of cutting in player than
Yeah,
Connected. It's just the
I
state
feel like
Celtic leave
I feel like
themselves in.
I feel like with Maeda on the right, you could just fire balls over the top down the line to him, and he could just run. So maybe you could deploy him on the right. Balak Wisha has had a slow start to life at Celtic, poor in the game against Rangers, um, poor last week against Kilmarnock. So I don't know whether he would be deployed on that right hand side. So it's definitely interesting to think about. But Taneki, from your view, from what I've seen so far, he looks like a great player. So he's a lock at the left wing then.
Yeah, definitely. I think him, along with the midfield and the defence, is pretty standard. I think the midfield will be Cal McGregor, Benjamin Negrin, and Rio Hattati. The back four, Kieran Tierney, Liam Scales, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and Colby Donovan. And I think it'll be Kasper Schmeichel goals. I think the only positions up for contention maybe is the striker and the right wing. And I do think you have to have Dyson Maeda in the team, because even if he's not offering the quality of goals which we seen last season, he's still obviously a threat, and his pressing ability and off the ball work would mean that he probably starts regardless, which I think goes hand in hand with your point that if you put him on the right wing, he still offers a lot of the threat that he offers if you put him on the left. Obviously, it's not his favourable position, but he's obviously a lot more experienced than Tinekti to go over and play on that other side. So yeah, I'm looking at Red Stars team. There's not too many sort of notable names of European football, but they're obviously a solid team that have won the Serbian league a countless number of times in a row. I'm just going to get the exact amount. 8 times in a row they've won it. 11 times in total. So since they've got their investment, I would imagine. They've dominated Serbian football over their rivals, Partizan. The only sort of notable name in their squad that I can see at the minute is Marko Arnautovic. Obviously, a great player. He's getting on a bit now at 36. He did start at the weekend. Another player who I always think's been quite dangerous whenever I've seen him play is Peter Olajanka. Former Slavia Prague player. But yeah, Celtic's European away record especially is pretty terrible. So I don't think Celtic fans will have too much confidence, but it's always got to change at some point. So you never know. I remember Rangers going to Belgrade and beating Red Star in this competition. So
Well,
there's
we didn't beat them in Belgrade, but
oh,
we
I thought they did. What was the score in Belgrade?
3-0 at Ibrox and 2-1 to Red Star in Belgrade.
All right. Ryan Kent scored the Rangers goal. Is that right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. I thought Rangers won that match, but they were obviously riding on the high from the first leg at Ibrox. But yeah, I think it's a difficult one. As we said, it's a difficult one, really difficult one to call. Predictions, we'll give our predictions now.
Yeah, do you want to do a predicted lineup for Celtic as well?
Yeah, I pretty much. Well, I'll just run through it again. Casper Schmeichel on goals,
Yep.
back four, Kieran Tierney, Liam Scales, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Kobe Donovan, midfield three, Callum McGregor, Benjamin Nigren, Rio Hatate, front three, Sebastian Tenekte. I still is getting used to saying his name. I thought it was Tenetke, but it's the K before the T at the end of his name. So yeah, and then Daisa Maeda and Kelechi Iheanacho. That'll be my starting team. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we even get someone like a Yang at right wing because he is one of the best players at playing right wing because Celtic are very lopsided in the wide areas. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
hard to
that's the problem. Because the only right winger you have in the squad is a 34-year-old James Forrest. So
know.
it's not a great position to be in, and it does shine a light again on Celtic's pretty poor transfer window. You just saying that, I think I agree 100% with your starting 11, so I don't really need to say mine. So, aye. Now, uh, you want a prediction for this one?
Yeah, prediction. We'll go for predictions.
Okay. Gonna back the Scottish team. I'm gonna go with 3-2 to Celtic.
Oh, that would be entertaining by Celtic standards this season. Uh, I'm going to go less entertaining. I'm going to go more Celtic. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, sit on the fence. I don't have the confidence that Celtic will go over there and win, but I also don't have the too much confidence in Red Star either to turn Celtic over. So I'm going with a draw. Not a terrible result.
You and our good friend Michael from the Scottish Football Zone love that, Feds. But
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, I think that's fair as well. I'm just trying to back the Scottish team.
yeah. No, I think Celtic fans would be probably quite happy with a point to start. As a difficult ground to go to, as we know, a hostile atmosphere, and they are a Champions League team from last season, so probably one of the most difficult games. But even in, we talk about the Champions League and the Europa League, there is still, although I think the difference is that in the Europa League, you obviously miss out the big hitters, your um, your Barcelonas, your PSGs, your Real Madrids, but there's still really good teams in there that'll cause you problems, and if you don't turn up, then they'll turn you over. So Celtic will need to be on their A game to get 3 points. They're definitely capable of it, but I don't think they will pull through. And then moving on to Thursday's game at Ibrox, Rangers host KRC Genk of Belgium, who have started the season pretty terribly. I noticed down towards the bottom end of the Belgian league, but still got some quality players. They've
I've
got
sorry, I've got their results here. If we just want to run through that quickly. So they lost to Club Bruges 2-1. All got their only goal in that game. And then they drew one each with Royal Antwerp, lost 2-1 to Standard Liège. Got a win against OH Leuven, winning 2-1. They then defeated like Poznan 5-1 away from home. Then lost 2-1 to like Poznan at home, although that away victory had already secured the tie for them in the Europa League playoff. They won. They beat Zulta Vagrem. I'm always bad at pronouncing that one. Vargem. I'll go with that. They beat them 3-2 in quite an entertaining match. They then drew one each with RSC Anderlecht. Lost 1-0 to Sporting Charleroi and lost 2-1 to Union Saint-Gilloise. So you could draw parallels between Rangers and Genk this season. I think both of them starting pretty poorly. At least Genk have won in the league. Um, yeah, it's definitely a tale of two seasons that I've started below par. Sorry for cutting you off there, Ethan. I'll let you talk about the players now, but I just wanted to get that in there.
no, not at all. And yeah, I think the Belgian league has got a lot of really quality teams littered across it to the point where you can, as a team like KRC Genk, start the season really poorly. 8 points from 8 games isn't an impressive tally at all. And they're already 12 points behind Union Saint-Gilloise, and Genk will be ones that will be looking to be up there competing because I might be wrong, but I think for large parts of last season in the Belgian league, they were right up the top. They led the league for quite a while, I think, and then before the weird split in the Belgian league where they half everybody's points and narrow the gap between first and second and third, etc., they were they were running away with it before, obviously, Tony Bloom's Union Saint-Gilloise um, grabbed the title. So they've got a quality squad there. But again, I think Rangers can definitely look at this one as a winnable fixture at Ibrox, regardless of where Rangers' domestic form's been over the last number of years now. They've always seemed to turn it on in Europa League, and the players seem to get up for those big nights under the lights at Ibrox, and I could see that happening again, especially with the form Genk have been on. But they have got some players that you've got to watch out for. Young John O definitely being one of them. He did look like he was going to make that best part of £30 million move to Stuttgart. Obviously fell through, so he's still there. Another player, I think he might be injured. It says a back injury early October. Konstantinos Karetsas, the 17-year-old Greek winger who terrorised Scotland when Scotland played Greece. So they have got some quality littered throughout that squad.
I just want to highlight one guy who's scored 4 goals and got an assist in 9 appearances this season across all competitions. Zakaria El Awadi, the Moroccan right back for Genk, who's it seems to be their main danger man this season. He did score 8 goals last season as well, so keep an eye on him.
Yeah, and that's it. They've got loads of talent across the squad. I think Celtic were actually linked with Jarni Stukers, who's valued at 10 million. The 23-year-old winger, 9 goals and 12 assists last season, 6 assists so far this season. One player who I think is a really good player. When I've seen him at sort of World Cups and whatever, Junya Ito, Japanese teammate of Dyson Maeda and Rio Hatate. He made the move to Ligue 1 with Stade Reims, but now he's back at KRC Genk where he was before, and that's where he got his move. He's getting on a bit now, but still a quality player. And they did sign Yusuf Arabi from Hammarby, the same team as Tenekti came from, for 3 million. So yeah, they've got quality, and that's what I say. There's not going to be any sort of rollovers in the Europa League, even though it's a step down from the Champions League. The teams have all still got quality players that can hurt you. But I do think I do have confidence that Rangers will actually get a result, because I think when I think you could question whether the players are playing for the manager, but I think when it comes to knockout competition and their pride is on the line, they will perform. And ultimately, if you're looking to I think most players see Rangers and Celtic as a stepping stone club. If you want to use it as a stepping stone club, you need to perform in Europa League games and derbies, because that's what the scouts look at. Okay, it's all well and good doing it against the teams in the Scottish Premiership, but ultimately, if you're going to make that step to the next level, you need to be doing it on those Europa League nights. And I think Rangers will rise to the challenge, and I think they will beat Genk. I think it'll be a close one, but apart from Rangers matches against Club Brugge, they've got what was it?
Predicted lineups again before we do the match prediction.
Yeah. I was just going to make the point. I think apart from, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think apart from the Club Brugge games, Rangers have got a decent record against Belgian teams in recent history.
Yeah, they do. Royal Antwerp, Standard Liège. I think there's another one that
Union Saint-Gilloise last season.
Saint-Gilloise. Beat them last season and beat them a couple of years ago. Coming back from 2-0 down on aggregate to beat them 3-2 on aggregate, 3-0 in in the ground at Ibrox. So yeah, until Club Brugge, Rangers have had a decent record against Belgian clubs, and I'm hoping it continues. So for this kind of for a predicted lineup, I think I'll go Jack Butland, um, Jaden Magoma, the only left back at the club, but he's been actually decent, so I don't mind. Tav, if I see Max Aarons in the starting 11 again, I'm going to blow him.
Max Aaron's is suspended.
Oh, yeah, so he is.
I just noticed that there. Obviously, his red card in the second leg in Bruges.
I've erased that from my memory. And then I'll go with Derek Cornelius, um, John Suter, Nico Raskan playing in his preferred position in the six. I think it will be Diomande and Telo Asgard. Although this might surprise you, but if he's fit, I would maybe bring in Joe Rothwell for Diomande. I think Diomande's not been great. Joe Rothwell, when he came on against Hearts, looked decent. Obviously, it's a little snippet, but a wee bit of controversy with Joe Rothwell recently is he liked to post one of his ex-teammates on Open Goal talking about how he's being played in the wrong position, and he actually liked that post. So, maybe playing, and he did look decent in that sort of more advanced role when he didn't have any sort of defensive responsibilities. So I'd maybe drop Diamande and bring in Rothwell if he's fit. Nobody come for me. I just want to give him a chance. And then obviously another player who's getting played out of position to try and shoehorn Mikey Moore in, but we've seen how good he is off the left this season. We're talking about the qualities of Sebastian Tunecki, and a left wing signing for the other club in Glasgow that has hit the ground running. Probably Rangers' best signing so far. Diede Gassama, I think he has to start on the left hand side. I'd go with Bojan Miovski through the middle, and on the right hand side, I'd give Oliver Antman another chance because he looked positive coming off the bench against Hibs.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I think Mikey Moore's the one that he's looked a little bit stale since he's came, and of course he is just a young lad, just 18. So as expected, he isn't going to come in and maybe hit the ground running. He's obviously very highly thought of down at Tottenham. But as you said, Oliver Antman came on,
Yeah,
looked sharp.
this is a pub league, so he should come up.
Well, we all know it doesn't work that way. Although some English football fans and certainly players like to think of it that way. It doesn't work that way, as we've seen. And I think that's it. If a player isn't playing well, just because a player hasn't played well in the past or in recent games doesn't mean they shouldn't still rotate it, because that's the only way you're going to really see change. I know Oliver Antman was poor before he got sort of displaced in the starting 11, but he did show in the game against Victoria Pilsen that he has a player with quality. He showed last season at Go Ahead Eagles. He's a top talent. So yeah, they need to rotate. Russell Martin needs to rotate the squad and give these players a chance. And I do think Rangers will. If we're getting on to predictions, I do think Rangers will take the victory. Actually,
Wow.
surprisingly, because I've gone against them most of this season, as most people have. But I think after the weekend's result, they'll step up. Livingston on Sunday, if I had to predict that and will not predict that, then maybe I would go with something else. But no, I think Rangers will get the job done on Thursday night and start off the Europa League campaign in the perfect way.
Okay, I'm gonna go with 1-0 to Rangers.
I'm going to go with 2-1 to Rangers. I think might score.
Well, he
But
never, never did when he was in Celtic. Though. I still can't believe he was going to move for nearly 30 million, because see, when I saw that, I went, right, this is not a pun. I realised that I was about to say it. I was like, oh, he must be smashing it in Belgium. He must have got tons of goals. And I looked, and his goal record's rubbish. It's not rubbish, but it's not the best. It's not like that kind of money. So
a goal. Well, last season in the First Division A, the Belgian league, it was a goal every 4 games. So it's not a great record for a striker. Better than Celtic, and I think that is just shows that when you're in a slightly sort of higher regard league than the Scottish league, like the Belgian league, and you're doing a little bit better, then that's the kind of money. And I think as a player that he did show at points at Celtic he has got quality, but he just didn't show enough, and that's why ultimately he was sold. And Celtic would have made another bit of money had he completed that move to Stuttgart. But obviously, he's still there in Belgium, and he didn't start at the weekend actually, but he has been starting the recent games. So I don't know if maybe that was somebody, maybe the manager resting him, Torsten Fink, the German manager. But yeah, I think he'll start because he'll relish the occasion to be back in Glasgow, and maybe he'll score. Would be interesting. But yeah, I think Rangers will have enough, and I think Celtic will be happy to take a point away from Belgrade, and I think that would be a successful first week in Europe for the Scottish clubs.
Yeah, definitely. Are we doing Aberdeen this week? Or are we going to do their own episode when it's their game
We'll
then?
just roll all three teams out because I think all three teams are playing next week. So we'll just wait until then. I think it's just the Europa League this week.
Right.
So yeah,
Cool.
we'll wait until next week. All right. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're on Spotify, go and check out the Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, go and check out the YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, they're both at the Dugout. Go and check out the Twitter at the
We,
Dugout
we know.
2020.
Sorry, we know what you meant there, but you did say if you're on Spotify, go check out Spotify. And if you're on
All
YouTube,
right.
check out
Yeah. Yeah.
YouTube.
Vice versa. Go and check out the Twitter at the Dugout 2024. Go and check out the TikTok. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Please rate 5 stars on Spotify. Thank you very much for listening and goodbye.